At a celebration for the opening of a new branch of the Gotham National Bank, the party is crashed by a sinister group of criminals known as the Red Hood Gang. One among them, codenamed Red Hood 5, is ordered to attack one of the hostages, and he puts the man down quickly, complaining the blow broke his gun. The leader of the Red Hood Gang gives the man his gun, saying Red Hood 5 should use it on himself. The real Red Hood 5 loves killing and would never hit what he could shoot. Also, he's left-handed. This stranger begs Red Hood 1 to spare those around them, which makes the gang leader laugh. They're all already dead, as they poisoned the cake used at the party yesterday. At gunpoint, the imposter is ordered to put a gun to his mouth, but the leader of the sinister gang gets impatient. This is all getting old, so Bruce Wayne decides to make his move. In the ensuing chaos, Wayne is able to escape the Red Hood Gang and make it back to his headquarters. Though he is now calling this place home, Alfred hasn't given up on the notion of them returning to Wayne Manor. Yet Bruce is determined to operate out of this building, here in the heart of Gotham, only 40 feet from the site where his parents were slain, back when he was a child. This way, he's in the thick of things, dealing with the crime that he is attempting to fight. Assessing his recent, early attempts to inflict war against all forms of crime, Bruce notes that while he is improving, he needs to find a way to operate in the shadows undetected. Something in his operation is missing. Later, Commissioner Gordon stops by, asking about a vigilante scene operating in the area with advanced technology, as well as concerns about the direction of Wayne Enterprises. Bruce offers him very little, as he has been away from the city for a long time and is no longer involved with how his family's business is run. Meanwhile, the Red Hood Gang begins to take an interest in Bruce Wayne's new home. Little did any of these people know, this was the beginning of the 0 year. In the days that follow, Bruce successfully rescues a group of men from the Red Hood Gang, and remains more determined than ever to learn the identity of the ruthless and mysterious leader of the organization. Apparently, Red Hood 1 simply blackmails and threatens ordinary Gotham citizens into joining his gang, and the sporadic activity of the group makes it very difficult to track and learn what they're up to. Alfred asks if Bruce is ready to publicly return to the world, but he states he prefers to remain legally dead, as Bruce Wayne currently is. The loyal butler is happy to have Bruce back in his life after he's been gone so long, but seems dismayed at how much the man has changed. Wayne states he was gone for a reason, training for this new crusade, and nothing is going to change his plans now. The head of Wayne Enterprises, Bruce's uncle, a man named Philip Kane, then arrives, having been keeping a close eye out for Bruce's return. He takes Wayne to the new Wayne Enterprises building, talking about some of the incredible work they've done since merging the corporation with the two family businesses of Wayne Enterprises and Kane Chemicals. However, Bruce is quick to point out the company is also now manufacturing weapons. Though Wayne might not approve personally, he does also state that the company does belong to Philip, and that he doesn't want to get involved in the business. Kane, however, doesn't share those feelings, stating that he worked hard to keep this company alive not just for his daughter, but also Bruce Wayne. He states that it was always the Waynes that captured the city's attention, and that having one back in charge of the company would make a huge difference for the spirit of Gotham. Bruce reaffirms that's not why he has returned to Gotham, so Philip turns the younger man's attention to the giant penny he poured in front of Wayne Enterprises for the new building. Kane had this made as he originally studied to be a geologist, but went to work for the family business after his father passed away. Philip states that sometimes we have to give important things up to do what needs to be done. Bruce, however, remains firm that this is not who he is, prompting his uncle to wonder what kind of man his nephew has become. In the distant past, while Bruce's father was working on a car, he once gave his son a special camera that maps out difficult terrain by filming in all directions at once. As a young boy, Bruce decided to take it and venture out into the caves located under the estate of his family home. He fell into that cave and was attacked by a swarm of bats. Late at night, Philip states Wayne is not coming around and seems reluctant to return to the business world. His top strategist said that Bruce would do as much. Kane is frustrated as he hoped Bruce could salvage the company's reputation within Gotham. The people of the city hate them for what they built here, and the Red Hood gang seems intent on stealing from Wayne Enterprises no matter what kind of security they get. Kane's strategist, Edward Nigma, says it's not a mystery they're dealing with, but a riddle. And though riddles always seem complicated, they often have simple, hidden answers. The answer to all of Philip's problems also merits a simple solution: the death of Bruce Wayne. In Arkham, Bruce breaks into the facility in order to access files on the Red Hood gang. He's discovered by a patient who reacted violently to his trespassing. While Bruce manages to slip away, the woman, known as the Anchoress, is then considered violent from that point on by Arkham authorities. She's punished for acting out in response to Wayne's actions, and winds up suffering immense mental trauma from it. It would only be years later that Bruce would learn of this mistake, but even then, there's no changing the damage done along the way in the journey towards him becoming something new and better. Red Hood 1 then stages an attack on a blimp. On board the aircraft, a major figure in the crime world of Gotham named Luca Falcone was initially unimpressed by the invasion, not realizing his own men have already joined with the Red Hood. Oswald Cobblepot states that this was an unnecessary move by Red Hood 1. After all, they're just businessmen. But the Red Hood gang's leader pays this no mind. He knows Oswald uses Gotham's poor regulation around these blimps to smuggle in all sorts of illegal goods, including weapons, such as this Wayne sonic rifle. Non-lethal until augmented by the right hands, such as the Red Hood gang, who has already augmented these weapons before Oswald even shipped them in. Cobblepot suddenly lashes out with electrified gloves, and Red Hood 1 quickly realizes it's the vigilante that has been attacking the Red Hood gang for some time. The Red Hood 1 is thoroughly impressed, and even makes room in his gang for the stranger to join up with them. Bruce refuses the offer and once again barely escapes with his life. This frustrates Wayne, who feels he is already losing his newly started war on crime. The Red Hood gang's numbers and resources keep expanding at a frightening rate, now absorbing rival gangs, whereas before they only took in people with no criminal past. Though Bruce managed to get a DNA sample of their leader, it doesn't match any known records, while this leader's actions seem to involve striking out at random, seemingly just to prove what the gang is capable of. The police are getting desperate while the city is now gripped with fear. And now, the Red Hood gang has access to Wayne Tech, further cementing Bruce's anger. Pennyworth, however, is getting frustrated with all of this, pointing out that Bruce is being a coward hiding from his real identity. This culminates in an argument where the butler states that Bruce's parents would be ashamed that he let the family legacy get to this point, where the company name has become associated with criminals. And when Bruce grabs him in anger, Alfred ultimately slaps his adoptive son and leaves for Wayne Manor. With all this in mind, that night, Bruce decides to meet with Philip Kane at a museum around midnight. There, when Wayne informs Kane about the stolen weapons, Philip simply states they will have to further increase security. Bruce, however, points out that at this point the Red Hood gang is basically everywhere, and the best thing to do is to stop production at Wayne Enterprises before the gang steals any more of it. Philip asks one last time if Bruce will come back to the company and into the public eye, if he cares so much. But when Wayne once again refuses, Kane decides to force his nephew's hand. The lights of the museum flash on, and in front of a large, well-connected crowd, along with a number of key individuals from the press, Kane introduces Bruce Wayne, stating he has returned to help build Wayne Enterprises to new heights. Though Bruce storms off, the damage is done. The world now knows Bruce Wayne is back. Wayne passes by an Egyptian exhibit where he is greeted by Edward Nigma. Nigma hints to Wayne that his uncle may be deliberately supplying weapons to the Red Hood gang. He also gives Bruce a riddle about how to escape the museum while avoiding the press, which Wayne manages to solve easily. As Wayne leaves, Nigma muses on how many more riddles are on the way. While Bruce returns home in a cab, he calls Alfred, stating things are much worse than he realized, and that Bruce was wrong. As he enters his home, he's surprised to find another party set up for him. His taxi driver gets out of the car and puts on the Red Hood. The gang leader states he was sad that they couldn't make Wayne's party, so they decided to throw another one for Bruce here. The Red Hood also jokes that it's a shame they have to do this too, since Bruce Wayne tips so well. So that's the end of part 1 of our coverage of Zero Year. This is a fun event detailing the origins of Batman as reimagined for the New 52. We'll talk about part 2 next, as we get into the end of Bruce Wayne.